Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mensches. We are live on King Street from the heart of the Toronto International Film Festival.
That's right, in downtown Toronto, bringing you the best of Jews and Sports. We are a Jews and Sports and occasional Shtisel recap podcast.
And we've got a great interview coming up with Max Winkler, the director of TIFF film Jungleland, a movie about boxing.
That's right. It is a sort of a follow-up episode to our conversation with Lou Eisen from a few weeks back about the classic Jewish history of boxing. We're really excited to chat with Max about his experience with the sport, his knowledge of Jewish boxers, and how that fits into the movie he made.
And we thought we'd take this opportunity to do a little al fresco pod down from the heart of the film festival. Gabe, have you seen anything else at TIFF this year?
I have seen occasional film critics argue with each other in various establishments about the city.
Yeah, it's funny how in the last 15 years or so, it's really gone from this relatively small film festival to this is where the Oscar movies come. Everybody's at TIFF and giving their reviews. I feel like I've read 20 reviews of movies that I haven't seen yet or won't see for months or maybe never see because they'll never even get released in a wide way. Yeah, this sort of makes or breaks Oscar season now.
It's late summer in the greatest city in the world, so here we are. Everybody wants to come.
It's late summer in the greatest city of the world. It's also late summer in Toronto.
That's right. We've Alex Rodriguez was here, a Menschwarmer's favorite. Wish Shabbat Shalom everyone last Friday from the TIFF screening of his partner.
Yeah, it gives us before we get into the interview, good time to talk about goings on in Israel baseball. Probably the biggest story in Jewish sports right now.
That's right.
It's the European Baseball Championship right now. It's been going on for the last week or so.
And how did Israel do?
Well, the preliminary rounds are done as we're taping. It's September 12th, and Israel went 4-1 in the preliminary.
The Roche rounds. Are they Roche of the group?
No, it's group stage.
That's what I mean. But have they finished in the Roche position of their group?
No, the second. I don't know the Hebrew word for second best, but
they're Erev first.
Yeah. So they went 4-1. They only lost to the Netherlands, which is of course a European baseball powerhouse as far as it goes. They beat Germany in pretty dramatic fashion. If you followed our Twitter account, it was live tweeting the account of that game. So thanks everybody for following along. Thank you to Nick Rickles, who hit the go-ahead run, for following us back on Twitter. Always nice to get followed back by members of Team Israel Baseball.
Is Nick Rickles related to Don?
I looked into it. I could not find any information.
He just insults every member of the opposing team until they lose to him.
But yeah, so they go on to the quarterfinals now. Basically, the way it works is that there's 8 teams in the quarterfinals, and the top 5 teams will make it on to what they're calling the Europe-Africa combined Olympic qualifier.
Oh, the Eurafrica region.
Exactly, a classic tournament. It's like the Stanley Cup. So 5 teams from Europe and 1 team from Africa, who I can't remember who it is right now, will go on and compete for one of the Olympic spots. And Israel's obviously trying to win its first European Baseball Championship. I mean, that would be a huge win in the first place. I believe the only teams that have won have been the Netherlands and Italy.
That would be big nachas for all us Canadian baseball fans.
Yeah, and it's a little different than the previous time Israel had a big international showing at the World Baseball Classic a couple years ago, which is that for Olympic reasons, every member of the team actually has to be a citizen. So Danny Valencia, who's joined the team, other former minor league baseball players, Ty Kelly, a former major league baseball player, are all now Israeli citizens, and they're playing for Team Israel and seeing how far they can go. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on. If Israel wins their game tomorrow against France, then they will automatically qualify for the combined Europe and Africa qualifier and have a chance. And the winner of that goes on. And the second place team in that also has one more shot of making the Olympics.
So next year in Tokyo.
Yeah.
We're hoping.
Yeah, and just a minor quibble that the Olympics baseball is total BS this year. There's only 6 teams making the tournament. Japan's already one of them as the home country. They absolutely could have done a larger tournament with more teams. But they've sort of, I don't want to say rigged it, but they've designed it so that Japan will pretty much definitely medal.
Yes.
Almost definitely win the whole thing, which, will be a big deal. Japan's obviously the most popular sport baseball is the most popular sport in Japan.
The Olympics are sort of well known for their equal opportunity, fairness, and proper judging and organization. So I think this is a real shock that they have set something up.
I see Gabe indulging in the other traditional Jewish sport of sarcasm.
That's right. So now that we've got this update, we're about to head into our interview with Mr. Winkler, director of Jungleland, a movie about boxing and a Jewish man. So we're excited to talk about that. But before we get to that, let's remind you that you can find the Menschwarmers on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever your podcasts are found.
please follow us at Menschwarmers on Twitter. Follow the CJN Podcast Network on Facebook. Give a listen to our sister podcast, the Canadian Jewish Schmooze. Last week, our supervising producer, Michael Freeman, had the opportunity to interview Emily Nussbaum of The New Yorker.
Fabulous conversation that touched on wide-ranging topics from Stiesel to Fauda.
Yeah. I would say I'm in the category of Jew that really only cares what The New Yorker has to say about things. So
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Me too. It's wonderful. They deliver wonderful slices of life from all areas of the media, and now our producer Michael Freeman is one slice of that life.
All right, let's get to the interview with Max Winkler. Welcome back to the Menschwarmers. We're here with Max Winkler, the director of the upcoming movie Jungleland. Max, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, really appreciate you taking the time, and excited that we've got more Jews into sports.
Yes, is this about sports?
That's our
Specifically,
podcast.
yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't even know that. I thought we were going to talk about the movie. I'm so happy to talk about sports. I want to give one quick shout out
Absolutely.
to a restaurant I went to last night that was Jewish French cuisine called Dreyfus.
Ah.
And it is this
Don't know if I
man.
know it.
It's new. I forgot the chef's name, but he's a genius. He's truly touched and brilliant.
That's fantastic.
And
do you think a lot of people go to have affairs?
no, it's too small of a restaurant.
Okay.
Well, that sounds great.
But it's an excellent restaurant.
Oh, great.
And I recommend it to all of your.
Do you remember where it was?
No, it was on Harvard Street.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sure. That's sort of like the heart of what used to be the really Jewish neighborhood in the city,
It's
and
a
now it's
great
sort of
restaurant.
having a
Like
resurgence
so
of
much
Jewish
so that
culture.
I texted friends and I said, we have to figure out how to get this to Los Angeles where I live.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have a restaurant called Friedman's there that's amazing. That's similar. It's sort of like they've redone Jewish food and it's great.
There used to be one here just called S,
Right.
but they like ESS.
Right.
But they got rid of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I want to go to Montreal to have the bagels there. I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
good.
bagels, the smoked meat. That's
Yeah.
sort
We
of
went
the,
to college there. So
Gotcha.
it's,
McGill?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How'd you know? No. So welcome to the Menschwarmers. We'd love to talk to you about Jungleland and boxing, and
I'd also
some of
like to
your
talk about
Jewish
Fred
experience.
VanVleet if possible.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Okay.
absolutely.
we have talked about Fred VanVleet on this podcast before. Mostly his Wikipedia page was vandalized to say that he has some Jewish ancestry, which
Is
we
that
could not
true?
verify.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
So-
call that a vandalization.
Yeah, was that you?
not vandalization.
No, but I've been a fan. One of the co-writers of Jungleland is a guy named Teddy Bressman who has deep roots in Wichita.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And he turned me on to Wichita State basketball.
shockers.
And I went to USC, so I really liked the football team. Our basketball team was never great, and I sort of turned on the Lakers when Kobe left. And so I was really looking for a basketball team to fall in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And Fred VanVleet and the Wichita State Shockers totally, I became a deep, diehard fan.
Oh,
Their
that's
coach is
awesome.
incredible, and then I ended up liking the Raptors because I love Fred VanVleet so
Yeah.
much. And
Oh, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
you got on the bandwagon at a good time because
yes, and I wanted to make sure people knew that it wasn't a bandwagon thing, that my roots are actually deep, and I have a Wichita State hat that
Oh,
I
no
wear,
way.
and it's great. Yeah,
They went undefeated that year, the Fred VanVleet year, and then they
Yeah.
lost in the Final Four.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were an amazing team, and that guy could coach Duke, or I think it seems to be a sliders being ordered. They're an amazing team.
Yeah, well,
I
this
really
whole
like
city
them.
loves Fred. He was
Good.
really the captain of the team from like a morale standpoint.
He's such
you
a
know,
great player.
Oh yeah.
beloved player for the Raptors.
Shut
Good.
down Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And so just some context why we thought he was Jewish. During the finals run, somebody had kept on putting in that he had Jewish ancestry on his
Right.
Wikipedia page, which is not true. It's never
Right.
been true.
So enough of our fans or friends mention it to us. Hey, did you know Fred VanVleet
Wow.
is Jewish, or is he Jewish? So
Listeners would write in.
yeah.
It was
We did a bit of a deep dive, but we weren't able to uncover anything.
I took a photo with him. I'm going to show it to you
Oh,
guys the other night. I'll send it to you. My dad's calling me.
Does he want to be on the Menschwarmers?
Dad, I'm on a podcast, or is it a podcast?
Yeah, it's podcast.
Yeah, podcast.
I'm on a podcast called The Menschwarmers, talking about Jewish tradition. So I thought it was only helpful that I answered this phone call from you.
Oh my God! And I'm calling you only to say, break a leg, because the screening is tonight, right?
Yes, I'll call you soon. I love you.
I love you too, and yours in salmon.
Goodbye. Let me
Thanks.
show you this picture because I was really excited by it.
Oh, that's
great.
amazing.
You know, it's funny when you see guards playing basketball, they always seem short because they're the short guys on the court. But then when you see them with a normal person, you remember, oh yeah, that guy is
I wouldn't even call me
6'4".
I wouldn't even call me a normal person.
Fair enough,
I'm
but-
on the lower end of the spectrum.
So can you tell us a little bit about Jungleland, the movie that's premiering tonight at TIFF?
It's a movie that we're really excited to bring here. It's my second movie here. It's kind of a love story about two brothers. One of the brothers is a deeply talented bare knuckle boxer, sort of in these weird illegal circuits in the northeastern part of the United States, which is a country just south of you. And
We've heard of it.
Unfortunately. And the actors are Charlie Hunnam and Jack O'Connell and the great Jessica Barden, who you may know from The End of the Fucking World on Netflix. She's incredible, and Jack did all of his own stunts, all of his own boxing. We had some semi-pros fighting with us, and a guy who's now gone professional who fights at the end of the movie, and I'm excited for you guys to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have a lot of help with the sort of shooting the boxing? Was there a way?
We had a great boxing coach, sort of stunt coordinator named Paul Marini, and Ed Lavache, who had a boxing gym in Massachusetts near where we shot in Fall River, who was incredibly helpful and choreographed the fights. And Jack came early and trained for a month just by himself, living in Boston, really getting into it, and you'll see in the movie, he's deeply, deeply skilled as a boxer.
And were you a boxing fan before you made the movie?
Yeah, I've been boxing for a long time, and I love it, and I love the writings about boxing. I love Joyce Carol Oates' On Boxing. I think it's a masterpiece, and
We have a literary corner on this podcast.
Okay,
so
good.
This is a
Maybe
nice welcome
I'd
to
like
it.
to straddle it.
Yeah.
And I like all the sort of iconography and symbolism about boxing in America and what it means, and people literally fighting and clawing for their slice of the American dream, and just what that means to be somebody who enjoys getting punched and enjoys getting pain and inflicting it upon others. There's a lot of these boxers that you meet in real life. I can't say the same thing about the UFC as it seems, but a lot of these boxers you meet are really gentle, sensitive people in real life, and are working through their own experiences of how they came up, and working through love and pain and all that stuff when they're in the ring. And it's just it's just it's incredibly well documented sport.
Sure.
And
There's a story.
And one with deep traditions as well. We've talked before on our podcast about the sort of history of Jews in boxing, and there was an era where Jews were among the best fighters.
Of course, Mike Tyson. We Jews, we had a good run in there. That's one of our only sports.
A tradition of people coming out of the ghetto, and there's been fewer poor immigrant Jews. That hasn't been the tradition that's carried forward.
Right.
But, different people who have come up in different ways.
There's a story of Barney Ross, legendary Chicago Jewish boxer, that his mother didn't know he was a professional boxer until he was world champion.
Incredible.
Just because
He kept it from her.
Kept it from her.
Right, because he just didn't want to be bothered by having the conversation with his mom to say he's getting hit for a living.
Exactly.
Yeah, I take it the characters being played by Charlie Hunnam and Jack O'Connell are not supposed to be Jewish
Hasidic.
in the movie. Really?
No, not Jewish.
Yeah.
Not Jewish, but very emotional, very vulnerable, talk about their feelings a lot, have resentments a lot like a normal Jewish person.
Okay, so pretty close to being in the tribe.
And Jessica Barden is one of the most Jewish, non-Jewish people I've ever met in my life.
She was excellent at the End of the Fucking World.
Amazing.
I think
She's
they're bringing it back
brilliant.
for a second season.
Yes, they are.
They haven't already.
What other sports stuff could we talk about?
Yeah.
Whatever you like. So you grew up in Los Angeles,
I'm
I take
a
it?
very, very big Dodgers fan.
Sure.
I wanted to go to see the Blue Jays play, but I didn't have time. But it just is so cool that you can
Red
just walk
Sox are
right
in
in
town,
there.
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
the
can
best.
see it from around the corner. The Dodgers right now have a great Jewish player, Jock Peterson,
course.
the last couple of years. And
Yeah.
obviously, traditionally.
And a great brother named Champ Peterson.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Legend.
Yeah. It's there. I mean, there was a moment a couple of years ago where Jock Peterson and Alex Bregman, both Jews, homered in the same
Bregman's
World
a
Series
Jew?
game. He is.
Oh, yeah, Bregman's a Jew.
He's too good to be Jewish.
I know. Exactly.
I really want the Dodgers to win one World Series in this run. I think they deserve it.
Yeah.
They've won
This really
7
could be their
pennants
year.
in a row. I'm a little worried about our middle relief. I wish we had made a move, but it's above my pay grade. But and the Yankees are really, really good, and the Astros
Yeah.
are really, really good. And
It'd be great to see a rematch of the 2017 World Series
oh
with
my
the
God.
Astros.
That series took years off my life.
Yeah.
Like I just died a very quick death with the Red Sox last year, but
Yeah.
but the Astros Dodgers stadium, and especially in that Astros ballpark, which feels like a miniature golf stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Just Altuve just knocking baseballs off fucking pinball machines and shit. It was insane.
Well, I think the last year's series took a weekend away from us at least because
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad for West Coast time, but here the game that went 18
So
innings. I
annoying,
think we were up until 3:30, 4 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning watching that game.
Right. What's going on with the Blue Jays? Are just in disarray.
They're bad.
Yeah, rebuilding. We got some young guys who are going to come up in the
Stroman's
next couple
gone.
years.
Stroman's gone. He's a
He's
Met
on Met now.
We
Yeah.
talk a lot about the Mets on this podcast. They seem to be a traditionally Jewish fan base.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
Exactly.
Jack Antonoff is a Mets fan.
Oh.
The Dodgers too. I mean, big Jewish fan base. Larry King, obviously.
Larry King behind home plate
Of course.
every day.
And, Sandy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's we
The
love
GOAT.
Sandy and talk about the GOAT Jewish athlete probably.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be Sean Green for a second.
Former Blue Jay.
Well, that's what we
course,
have to
yeah.
share, yeah, baseball wise.
There was a very famous when we were kids. Sean Green used to go to high holiday services every year,
Right,
and
amazing.
not play on Yom
Right.
Kippur. And
Of course, in the
we all
Sandy way.
loved it,
Right.
exactly. And then
What a-
Kevin Youkilis did the same thing.
Right. Kevin Youkilis is a Jew?
He
Yeah,
is.
that's
I
right.
thought he was Greek.
Greek Jew.
No shit.
Yeah.
See, this is why we have the podcast.
You guys are very good. What other sports stuff could we talk about?
Whatever you like. I mean, so you said you grew up in LA. You went to USC.
I went to USC. I was there for 3 Heisman.
Oh wow.
I became friends with a lot of those guys. Ryan Khalil was the center there. Now is a Jet, also a Jewish fan base.
Yeah.
And is in the movie industry. He was
No
my
way.
producer. I wrote The Rocketeer with my friend Matt Spicer, the reboot of it.
Sure.
And he was the producer on it. It was because my relationship with him. He
Yeah.
had the rights to it, and he's an incredible guy.
Did you know Taylor Mays at USC?
Yeah.
Also Jewish.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that. I wished him a happy holidays once. My dad and I, because we would go and watch the games together,
Yeah.
and he felt really seen. It was
Oh,
beautiful.
that's amazing.
Well, I know your dad, who called in earlier, is an avid sport fisherman, fly
Big
fisherman.
time.
Do you do that at all with him, or?
It's hard for me. I have very small attention span.
Okay. It seems like more of an older man sport.
We've done it before, and he really loves it, and he's very gifted at it. He's a sneaky good Jewish athlete.
Right.
Most tend to be.
Yeah.
don't
It's
often-
definitely not. We're definitely not assuming it.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
don't look at a Jewish guy and go,
He's a
athlete.
good, yeah. USC, we were there for 3 Heisman. It was the glory days my senior year.
Sure.
I watched my father cry at the
USC Texas game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of
that
the
was
greatest
I
sporting
remember it.
events I've ever
Legendary,
yeah.
been a part of.
The
Wasn't a part of it, but
push
yeah.
forward.
Yeah. I actually just found out who's to blame for that, but I can't tell you. But there's one person whose entire fault it is, and it's not Lendell White's.
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
Pete Carroll?
No,
No.
I can't tell you.
I don't know what
wanna
happened to
put anyone
Lendell
on
White. I
blast.
think he didn't make it in the pros because he got too heavy.
Yeah, he battled a little
He
bit.
battled, yeah.
But with great team. I mean, Ryan Khalil's still playing.
Sure.
And it was an
Legendary
amazing
Reggie
time
Bush.
to be at. I went to a high school with no football team,
Okay.
and because it was against sort of like their philosophy.
Oh.
And they were mostly pro drugs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And creativity. But it was an amazing thing to be a part of. And Pete Carroll is like the closest thing to a president I've ever really been around. Like, he knew your name, he shook your hand.
Right.
He's an incredible human. Incredible. He made you feel so seen. Everyone loved him. Like a truly great man.
That's awesome. Well, they were as close to a pro team during the
Ever.
era as
It was a magical
Yeah.
time. It was like, when you watch those HBO sports of like the Frazier Ali one, at the Garden of just like people
Yeah.
in fur coats, like every cool and uncool person was on the sidelines there. And it was a huge part of my life. I really loved it.
Yeah.
Have you had any interest in the teams that have moved, the NFL teams that have moved to LA
I
in the
like
last
the
couple of years?
Rams.
Yeah.
I like Goff. I like Gurley.
It's hard to get a feel for whether the city is really responding to the teams at all.
City kind of seems like the new stadium will help. I think they need to go back to their original colors.
Right.
I think those silver uniforms are really
Yeah.
bad.
Well, I mean, the Rams have the history of being in LA, so there's some attachment there.
Yeah,
maybe.
Chargers, I think, they don't sell out like a soccer stadium.
It's like 35,000 people.
But they're good. It's just, I don't know why they came, because San Diego was such a great fan
Right.
base. And I'm sure LA has some sort of a fan base. I'm not connected to it because I never want to go to a football game, because it's so much better to watch
Oh yeah, live football.
football
sucks.
on
Yeah, I know.
television and have the red zone package because of my fantasy team. And
Except for college. I mean, college is a different experience, and
Yes.
especially when you're,
True.
really a supporter of the
True.
team, then being there is a whole different
True.
thing.
We're on this podcast. We're very closely, unfortunately, following Josh Rosen another LA
I love
guy.
him, and I
Yeah.
really believe that he has had a truly unfair rap.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think so too.
And he's smart and he's outspoken, and this mentality of like, I don't know if he loves football enough is asinine.
Well, I think
and,
it's
like,
anti-Semitic, to be honest with you.
I do too, in a way.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I think he seems like such a smart, good guy, and I really think, well, now Miami seems to be tanking on purpose.
I know. It's sort of like you want to see him get a shot in Miami, but on the other hand, you don't want to see him get blamed for a 2-14 season
Another
because
thing,
they
yeah.
built no team around him.
Yeah.
You really want to see him get a shot, though. I mean,
He's
you know.
good.
He's good.
Yeah.
He was great. He
Really
was good
He's
in
got a
college.
Great
you know,
arm and
They might trade him too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know.
right.
Send him to New York. Let him play for the Giants. I think it would be great.
Daniel Jones looks pretty good though.
Also true. So tell us more about Jungleland.
It's a it's not really, I would say, a sports movie. It's more of sort of like an of Mice and Men kind of type movie
Okay.
about brothers. You know, it's deeply impacted by sort of Bruce Springsteen and John Steinbeck and Jack Nicholson as a
Right.
frame of mind.
Do you feel like with this year, Jungleland and Blinded by the Light, you've created a Bruce Springsteen Cinematic Universe
If
to sort
those
of
two
join
movies
into?
get connected, I will be very surprised. But Bruce Springsteen is to me one of the most important writers. Just you can take his words without the music, and it is some of the best writings about America and the American experience.
Absolutely.
Of hope and desperation and suffering and love and belief, and I just his spirit was definitely the original title of the movie was called Lion. I'd written the movie so long ago with my co-writers that another movie named Lion came out.
Right. With Dev Patel.
Different subject matter. And so we changed it to Jungleland, and it made sense because I was listening to so much Bruce, as I do always. But while I was writing this, and yeah,
That's fabulous. And is it sort of like you mentioned earlier that you have a real acceptance for boxing and a love for the sport, and I feel like it marries very closely with Bruce Springsteen's music as sort of a hope, and you take your punches and you move on, you roll with them, and that's sort of the part. It's about taking and giving, and just giving a little bit more than you take.
yes, I think you've put that very well.
Oh, well, thank you. Did you like his book?
Loved, made me cry multiple times. I really, I saw the live show on Broadway and cried the entire time.
I like the book, but I had a hard time not reading it in his singing voice.
You have to. That's an interesting experience.
And honestly, like
that
I
seems
lo-
like a
I
Ben
love Bruce
Stiller
Spr- I love
show
Bru-
skit.
Yeah, exactly. It was like in that sort of like, stereo, sort of caricature of what Bruce Springsteen's voice actually is.
I recommend buying the audiobook and listening to him read it.
That
because
probably would've
he
been
is
the better way to
such
do
a
it.
beautiful reader, and he does such a wonderful job with it, and you can just feel everything. But that is a really good. Did you see the Ben Stiller show sketch of
yeah,
when he
Bruce
counted
Springsteen
the
counting,
ketchup bottles? Yeah,
We've seen that one before.
Yeah, that feels like that.
But it just, I kept singing it to Thunder Road in my head.
Right.
Whatever was written on the page.
love
so
to hear that
I
one
didn't make
day.
it all the way through.
Yeah.
I assume when he reads the audiobook, he just reads it straight, not to set
might
to
be
music.
Doodling on the
surprised.
piano
Yeah.
during the whole time. Well, we were in Jersey.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting way of doing it. Does Jungleland the song feature in the movie?
No,
Or? Okay.
but there is a Bruce Springsteen song in it.
Oh, great.
We won't ask you to spoil it. That's part of the fun.
It's
Yeah.
better to see it when it comes because it comes in a weird thing and it's not a Bruce Springsteen song I think you would think of.
Right. Talked a little bit about your career in the past. We know that you've directed a lot of television, including New Girl, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I wouldn't say either of those are necessarily Jewish shows if we're looking at our angle.
So
but
Andy
definitely
Samberg.
Jewish characters. Yeah, Andy Samberg has a real, and Jake Peralta as his characters, very Jewish main to him. A certain degree.
Max Greenfield on
Yeah.
New Girl.
Yeah, I think I guess Jess on New Girl isn't supposed to be Jewish, but her parents are played by Jamie Lee Curtis and
Rob
Rob
Reiner.
Reiner.
Yeah.
So it's hard to imagine how one came from the other,
Yeah,
or the child's not Jewish, but the
I've
parents
only
are.
made one movie about the Jewish experience. It was my first movie. It was about a Jewish boy. We never talk about his religion, but he was certainly Jewish in attitude and suffering levels.
Right.
And
Your Portnoy's complaint.
yes, if you will. Yeah, Portnoy's campaign told through the lens of like a love addict or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I feel really lucky that I've been able to make movies and television that I really love.
Sure. Is it difficult going between TV and movies, or do you
No.
feel like it's a different project, different art form?
Different part of the brain,
And-
different project.
How about comedy and drama, as you've gone previously?
No,
in
comedy's
comedy?
much harder than drama. Drama's, I think,
Interesting.
comedy's really hard. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's so execution dependent. It's so writing dependent. It's so editing dependent. Like I just find it harder.
Right.
Yeah. And
On
I
this
find
movie Jungleland, were you mostly sticking to the script, or
no,
is
that
there room
everyone
for-
could say whatever the fuck
Okay.
they wanted to say, as long as it was truthful and authentic. Are you guys actually Jewish?
Oh, yeah, all of us.
I was kidding. I was kidding.
Okay, yeah.
The
Okay,
one more
good.
question was for us to
Yeah.
you, not the other way around.
Yes,
I think
of course.
on the Canadian census, they used to ask people their religion, Jewish, and my dad used to joke that we could have another segment, obviously Jewish.
You have to go to this place called Dreyfus. Like the
Yeah.
name of it is about this famous Jew who was prosecuted.
Yeah,
you know,
so
of
that's
course.
it was called the Dreyfus Affair.
That's what
so
it's
that was
named
the joke
over.
I was making earlier.
Right.
It's all right.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought you meant like just like because Jews have
No,
affairs.
well, they also do, but
That's hilarious.
Yeah, thank you.
Full circle.
Yeah, our to wrap it up, our last question. If you want to share with us maybe some of your favorite Jewish athletes or sports moments, I know we talked about Sandy Koufax, but LA also had Jordan Farmar for a while.
Loved Jordan Farmar.
Oh yeah. Any other from anywhere
Sandy
else?
Koufax, I just love. I just found him to be elegant and beautiful, and like that's what I hope I can kind of look like. He's angular in a way that most
Sure.
Jews are, but I hope
Yeah.
I look like that when I'm older.
I think when him and Clayton Kershaw stare at each other from
Yeah.
that seat onto the mound, it's magic happening
Yeah,
between the
I
two
love
of them.
Clayton Kershaw. He's not a very non-Jewish hero of
Yeah.
mine, but he's a true hero and
Right.
like really cares.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Charlie Hunnam in a weird way.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Can
like
you go
the-
a little deeper on that?
They're just like both beautiful men that want to be excellent and work very hard to get that.
How's Charlie Hunnam's fastball?
Never seen him throw. He's very good at like jujitsu and shit.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
yeah,
cool.
he's like very into that.
I think more of a cricket guy.
No, he doesn't really like those things. He's really into like hand-to-hand true combat. I love. Who are some other good Jewish athletes?
I mean, it depends if you want to talk LA or the rest of
no,
the
the
country.
rest of the world.
Anywhere. I mean, Hank Greenberg's obviously a
Not
legend.
familiar with him.
I
mean,
baseball
not
player
in my,
from
not in
Detroit.
my.
Well,
Yeah.
currently NFL, in the NFL, we talked about Julian Edelman last week, who Super Bowl
Is he
MVP last
actually
week.
Jewish?
He is.
He is. You know, he hasn't embraced it as much
So
as he could have. But
that's not interesting. To
yeah,
me.
Nate Ebner, who plays for the Patriots, though, is very Jewish and went to Israel recently with the Pats. We
Respect.
talked about that on our last episode. Not much in the NBA right now. Willie Cauley-Stein is half Jewish.
Really?
That's
way.
about it right now. There was a guy from Israel who's he didn't get drafted,
Right.
Yoval Zusman. And then baseball's got lots, Braun and Ryan Braun and Jock Peterson, Bregman. The Blue Jays, we have Rowdy Tellez. The DH.
Jock Peterson is excellent and has an amazing club. I know we have to wrap up, but he's an amazing clubhouse guy. Like he's very important to our team.
Oh, for sure.
And so is Champ.
Yeah,
And
of course.
and who's the other LA person you said? Jock Peter. Oh, and Alex Bregman is
Yeah.
by far the best Jewish athlete.
Yeah,
Yes.
probably right now. Best
He's
professional athlete.
incredible.
He here's another fun fact. We interviewed a reporter who followed Team Israel around during the World
Right.
Baseball Classic a couple of years ago, and Bregman had to leave the team because he got called to the majors.
Yeah.
Good story.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to wrap it up. We'll have to leave it there, but maybe we can have you back on if the Dodgers win the World
Yeah,
Series.
please call me if that happens. I'd love to talk about
That'd
I
be
don't know
great.
if you're being sarcastic.
I
or
swear
not,
to
but
God,
we will
I'm
do
being
it.
serious. Call me.
Fabulous.
Sounds
I'll
great.
write down my cell phone number just in there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Max.
Yeah.
Thank you. That'll just about do it for this week's episode of the Menschwarmers. Special thanks to Max Winkler, the Toronto International Film Festival, and our supervising producer, Michael Freeman, for all coming together and making this happen.
Yeah, you can catch Jungleland in theaters probably at some point. I don't know that it has a release date yet, but if you're at TIFF, maybe you can see it. And if not, keep an eye out for it.
You know that Charlie Hunnam is very good looking.
Yeah, he is. I don't know if he looks particularly like he could play a Jew, but, he's got a real Gentile look.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at Menschwarmers for more updates on Israel's journey through the European Baseball Championship.
And feel free to follow us on any place you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Zencast, Podbean.
Whatever you got.
Anything.
Always love to have your feedback, and we'll see you next time, our next edition of the Menschwarmers.